Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're in. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. Excited to be here with you. I am reporting in from the airport, just about to fly out. I'll be hopping off the call pretty early, but today we're here to have the Venture Outfitter Weekly. I'll be home for Christmas. Our special for today. Excited to be here with you guys. Excited to be traveling a little bit too. But welcome to the Venture Outfitter. Our whole work here is to support each other in building our businesses and support the whole process of building out ventures that matter in the world. Thank you to DualWorks, even though I'm not in the studio today. I want to make sure I say thank you to one of our longstanding sponsors of the podcast and the program. DualWorks is a great co-working place with closed door offices, also mailboxes and things like that. It's great to have them as a continuing sponsor. Linda Blackman and her team at DualWorks are really great. They're long-term tech ranchers from the Ventures 4th 17 timeframe, which is many, many years ago. But they will take care. If you're looking for office needs, you have office needs, they're great to take care of that. I'm just going to race through a bunch of slides today, and then we're going to just have a general talk about what you're doing for Christmas, and or it's not even about Christmas. And when I use Christmas, well, I'll say something about that in just a second. So next week, we're going to talk about Here Comes the Future. What is Here Comes the Future? Here Comes the Future is there is such a set of disruptions on all these different technologies. I was naming around 10 different technologies that I recognized myself that are going to be disruptive. Everything from the marginal cost to intelligence through Chat GPT has gone way down. Like you can get all these, you can get like you can get like intelligence activities, you can get low cost power, low cost, lots of different items like that. We're going to talk through some of those technologies next week. I'll be back in Austin, and that will be what the program's about. If you have a specific technology you'd like to make sure that we review, whether it's your startup's technology or something else, let us know. And it's pretty impressive about the technologies that are coming out. And so the main thing is kind of knowing how to keep up with them, and how do we as entrepreneurs continue to build a healthier culture with these technologies that are coming online that are going to disrupt. I can't think of one industry that's not going to be disrupted by the artificial intelligence or the fusion power or whatever, all these different things that are coming online that are going to disrupt that. So definitely take advantage of that. If you haven't been a part of the community site, we've been keeping things kind of a little bit closed for, what I call friends and family members. We're going to be launching at the very beginning of the year a pay level on this. So if you're interested in being involved and you're one of the insiders, because you're hearing my voice right now, make sure that you actually, if you're not already on it, send an email to Jello at ea@techranchaustin.com, and he'll get you on. There is some information we're going to be collecting about all of our entrepreneurs that are on for like the core group, and then we'll be bringing others on. But if you've been involved in Venture Forth or one of the other Tech Ranch programs historically, especially if you've been a volunteer in some of the things that we've done, make sure you get involved. And there'll be a lot more activities that are going to kick off as we kick off the new year on that. So cool. All right. Well, like I said, about halfway through today's hour, I'm going to have to leave as I see flights take off right in front of me. I'm looking over the tarmac at the Austin airport. But part of what today is just to say, hey, I'll be home for Christmas. One of the things that I'm reminded as an entrepreneur is to learn to practice extreme self-care. And part of that is, being with family, friends, being, connecting. And a lot of times it's not been so easy to do. There's been a lot of, it's been something that I think is just some of us are really well enculturated around that. And ever since in my case, my grandmother passed away, I really haven't had a family unit that I've plugged into a lot of times. And so I thought that'd be something for us to talk about a little bit. And some of you actually are really are the experts at this. And when I say Christmas, I was raised Christian. I'm Christian. I'm a practicing Christian. That being said, I like to say Merry Christmas versus Happy Holidays, but I also mean Happy Holidays to everyone that practices a different background. Even if you're an atheist, well understood, it's time to take a moment and just lean into the holidays and stuff like that. And one of our members, one of the consultants that we've heard from before, that's in the Tech Ranch consultant group, we heard from her a while back, had the following thing to say when she does this is Christia Hoffman. Christia did some branding activities for us during the VO Weekly a few months, actually about a month and a half ago. And she posted something about the solstice, which was yesterday. And I thought that it was appropriate to kind of stop for a second. And instead of having a quote for the day, I wanted to hear from one of the Tech Ranch resident poets. Here's Christia.
Hi, all. I was feeling a little bluish yesterday, and then I realized I was craving chocolate, and maybe that's a sign to pay attention and to take a moment and to recognize that it's also the darkest day of the year, but in the darkness there's light. This is from my first collection of poetry, Intent, and it's called Solstice. This time of year, night stretches to her full length, curls around the northern hemisphere, and smiles at the strength of her embrace. She's been training through the season, each month gaining on the sun until she's won the day, and as if to show her power, she celebrates with light, showers us with stars, and invites us all to play. Happy solstice.
Thank you, Christia. Christia was involved in a Tech Ranch programs many, many years ago. But one of the things that being connected through social media I've always appreciated is how being reminded on some of the most basic things through poetry has been really, really, really powerful. And so what we'll do, whether you're celebrating solstice or Christmas or holidays or Hanukkah or whatever it might be, I wanted to kind of just share a little bit. Now, around the Coim House, one of the things that we did was my father, I think some of you know the story, that he was in the what do we call it, the Peace Corps before I was born. And he was a Peace Corps volunteer in Brazil. He also spent a bunch of time in several other countries where, after I had finished up my work in Mexico in 1994, he came down and visited me. It was supposed to stay for 2 weeks, ended up staying 7 years. At some point after that, he ended up going to Taiwan for about a year and launched, he's written 9 different books, but one of the ways that we celebrated Christmas is we just had a book launch party for like Amazon on demand. So he had these manuscripts that had never been really printed into books. And so this is my dad. If you happen to want to hear what he has to say about Taiwan and entrepreneurship and coaching entrepreneurs, trade and tourism, this was his book. It just launched. It's now available on Amazon. I'm really proud of seeing his work go out there. If you point at the QR code, you can actually go directly to it. But we just got a request for a link to the copy, and Jello will actually provide that both in the show notes as well as into the chat. But this is the section where part of what I thought we'd do today, I asked Denise Kern, who you've heard from before. She sometimes fills in for me to hop in. come online and let's see. I think Jello. Every once in a while, I'm hearing some background noise. I don't know if that's my phone, my connection or not. But Denise, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Well, we were just talking a little bit about Christmas, or just whether it's solstice Christmas. I don't know how about what the celebration looks like. What are y'all doing for your family this time of year?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Okay, I am, my daughter has requested that I not give toys and things like that to my grandkids. And I'm going to give them the gift of my time. So I'm planning some adventures or challenges or whatever to do digitally and in person, one per week. We'll schedule an hour sometime during the week, parents included, and I will guide it as a little adventure. And then, for instance, we might read a book, and then we might draw a picture about the book. We might do some Play-Doh and create some characters and talk about things. But most of the time, it will just be listening and finding the gifts that each child has, including my grown children, and trying to model then what time looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, what it smells like, what it tastes like, but mostly what it feels like and how important each one is, and how I can kind of guide on the side. As you talked about when your grandmother died, that changed things for you.
Yeah.
I think grandparents and grandmothers often, in particular, since they usually have more longevity than the grandfathers, they're more of an anchor in a family than anyone realizes, because they're quiet and they walk beside rather than in front and whatever, unless you have one that, used to be a principal, and sometimes I get in the way.
That's right, with your background. Yeah,
There you go.
I can just imagine everyone's going to be in line.
Yeah. So you can have this for breakfast today, okay? It's like, oh, yeah.
It's
doesn't need to be. I don't need to choose what they eat.
You get this, or you get nothing.
Yep, exactly. So that's what I'm doing with my family this year. Yeah, because I have one in Denver and one in San Antonio, some older ones in Austin and Minnesota. So it'll be a digital, probably a phone call time too. We'll see.
Yeah, it was, so that's one of the interesting things about, like, as I think that one of the things that made me think about this very much is since my grandmother passed away, we didn't have in the family an anchor for the practices around the holiday. And I didn't think about it much. That first year, the second year after that, the third year after that, it's just like, I was still grieving about the loss because I was closer to her than anyone else on the planet. But what's interesting is, I talk a lot about how entrepreneurs are the purveyors of culture, and we have a responsibility to build our culture. And many times, some of us, at least include me in that some, have mental health struggles just because we don't have like a, at least in the United States, we don't necessarily have a culture to plug into. Like when I was in Hungary or when I was in Mexico, you can see identifiable cultural patterns. And maybe I'm, since I'm a fish in water, I don't necessarily see them here like I do in some of the other countries I've been in. But it's interesting to think about how there are times that we just don't have a practice. And so part of what I wanted to point to, and you just gave a great example of this, is having a practice with family or friends or whoever it is that we're plugging into, because it's almost like, even at the most basic level, we're taking care of our own mental state. And then reminding ourselves about how important it is, especially as entrepreneurs, that we have a structure, that we create structure for others. The thing that I'm most proud of around my dad's book I mean, I'm proud of him for doing that, but it took this whole group of people, not just me. I mean, I organized people, but there's actually 12 other people who were responsible for that book and that launch party and all that sort of stuff that you saw some photos of. And it was like, the thing that I consciously was thinking to do is to create a cultural frame,
Mhm.
a set of practices, even just around that. And it was interesting because it felt so great. That's one of the things I want to point to for us. I don't know if you have any reflections about that, or someone else that's in the I guess we call it the green room, or I'm not sure what we talk about. We have the audience on the live streams, and we have here. It's crazy. I don't know if y'all can hear all that background noise. It's weird. I'm hearing them through noise canceling headphones. But someone's having a hard Christmas over here someplace. Just wondering, what are y'all's practices? Anyone want to kick in, or Denise, you have another one that you'd like to talk about?
I'm just going to say that just before I got on the Zoom, I lit a candle.
Beautiful.
And it's one of those scented ones that has the pine scent. You know, I grew up in the north, and and we used to cut down our own tree up in the forest. We did that when my kids were little. Yeah. So I did this just to kind of get myself in the mood, you know. This is one of the smells that I remember. And smells and tastes and sounds, I mean, they're all linked, but smells, I think, are one of the last things that you can't forget, you know. And the sounds, like the sounds that you remember from the Christmas carols that you used to sing and all that kind of stuff. Your point about the routine or the traditions or whatever it is, and that entrepreneurs are the purveyors of culture. That is that's brilliant. I wrote it down and quoted it.
Well, the thing that I think is interesting is I've been saying that for years, but I realized that it wasn't until, I mean, I've probably been practicing it at a point, but the thing that I think is interesting, part of the joy that I get to have this last Sunday, and bringing together this big table of people around, you know, and see my dad be proud of, you know, he had printed out on the regular printer, you know, all these manuscripts in the past and all that sort of stuff. They never really looked like a book, but the thing about it is to actively project that practice, that cultural practice. That was a thing. But I've been talking about this for years, about, you know, entrepreneurs are the blah 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 blah, but I finally had like a first person, oh wait, I'm very consciously going to use this in my other parts of my life. That's one of the things I want to encourage here, because I think that as entrepreneurs, especially in the United States, I think it's partially what's been destroyed by the market. I am market-based capitalist, right? Like, you know, and sometimes when I see this sort of stuff, people say, oh, wow, Kevin's gone commie or something like that. But no. The marketplace has a place. And I believe in, you know, free enterprise. I believe in the marketplace, but sometimes we have to figure out, what are the practices that we are creating that might not just be marketplace driven things where, you know, a dollar's being exchanged. I see Janet's there, and she's off of mute, and I don't know if that's my signal that she wants to say something. Janet, do you want to join us? Cello, bring her into the oh, she's connecting to audio. Maybe that means she's saying 1 second. Yeah, Janet, what would you like to say? Oh, we can't hear you just yet.
Can't hear you.
Let's see. Yeah, I think okay, well, Janet, fix that audio thing and we'll come right back and we'll talk to you. I bet you while ago, my wrong microphone was connecting in. What about we have a couple of people that have backgrounds. We have Irishman and a Russian American as well. Paulina said, "Oh yes, the smells make you nostalgic." Earlier about the candle that Denise led. Richard, if you'd like to come talk live, it'd be great to hear from you as well. Walking through the Christmas markets in Germany, saw how much the German Christmas culture is handmade. Then all decoration in German homes are handmade by family members. Handmaking the decorations is a great German tradition. Yeah, indeed. Definitely.
I'll come
Indeed,
off
that is
mute.
a really powerful thing.
I'll come off mute.
Yeah,
So
please,
I wanted to say,
join
as
us.
far as for me personally, I find that it's amazing to just see how the streets are decorated. Like, it's always, you find that the city itself has a very festive vibe because of just all the lights. And then I recently went to a White Elephant gift exchange a couple weeks ago, and driving in an Uber and a part of the Northwest Austin area, like all the apartment windows are open and all the different buildings have Christmas trees, and you can see through the windows all the Christmas trees with the lights, with the decorations. And it's just, like, it makes me smile to just see that everybody, despite whatever hardships, is coming together to celebrate and to enjoy the entire season. So to me, I find that the way that the United States has taught me of how you approach Christmas, and just, even if people do feel disconnected, there is some type of a feeling for me personally that I find that there's a vibe that people come together.
Well, yeah, I do think that there is like there's this like emerging, at least in certain friend groups I see, like where you're instead of Thanksgiving, it's Friendsgiving, instead of, same thing around Christmas. I know that for myself, as I disappear into another state, same kind of thing as well. I'm wondering, the main thing is like actually actively sharing that set of practices, because the numbers say that most Americans don't have very many strong friend groups. In fact, the number of strong friendships that is listed many times has been, just one or two at max for the average American. So I'm just wondering what other people have actually done and stuff like that. Janet just said, zooming in from laptop for first time, can't get audio to work. I'm willing to bet, Janet, it's the microphone setting. If it's a Mac, it's sometimes it'll select the wrong microphone. Denise, back to you for a second. Tell me.
Tell you, what I'm thinking as I'm listening to everyone, I'm not sure we as individuals are aware of the strength and the power of what we do is in terms of modeling for others. When Paulina said that Christmas is a time that people come together, we learn how to do that by watching people that are doing it. And if entrepreneurs are the purveyors of the culture, then we have a huge opportunity and responsibility to share what we do in public, whether we're failing or succeeding, or, as long as we're trying. If we are the purveyors of the culture, then we owe it to people to share how we set our own routines, how we remember our culture, how we spend time, and how we direct our time to build those relationships and keep them going, because they take energy and they take planning and they take a lot of thought. But that's the basis of it. That's the love. When you love somebody, you spend time, and you spend time by listening. So that's what I got out of those last conversations. I can't wait to listen to what others are doing and noticing, because I know they're right in there with us.
Yeah. Well, no, it's interesting to think about like how we can actually, just at that little bit of a shift, we can really make a difference for people, listening and have it not just be the Christmas. And there's a lot of people who have written about the Christmas that gets drowned in marketing messages, and because it's broadcast and stuff like that. It's like it's interesting to think about. from LinkedIn, Jello just told me that Heather Ball said, great to see you. Interesting. Entrepreneurs of the Purveyor culture. Hi, Heather. Good to have you here. I kind of wish I had my full multi-screen display so I could see all the messages going across, since I'm right now on this little itty bitty laptop. I almost did this only on my phone because I was like, can I travel just with a phone versus the laptop? Didn't do it this time. Oh, well, next time. But thank you for joining. Yeah, well, it's interesting. The challenge that I would actually have everyone to do is one of the ways we could shift this even just slightly with the people that actually see the live stream and that are here in the audience and stuff like that, is just to say, this is one of the things that where social media could be a powerful tool. I realize I have been silent over the social media over the last couple of weeks just because I've been catching up. Y'all know that there was a tragedy just not too long ago, and there's been a lot of follow-up. And I have gone silent on social media. In some of my social media, it was quite sad because of what happened. But part of what I know that today, as I get on the flight, I'll be doing is I'm going to talk about the Christmas celebration that was my dad's book launch and how that was structured. I would encourage everyone to just post something, not just a, Christmas or happy holidays message, but like Denise said, demonstrate how are you exercising this notion? How are you exercising this notion of entrepreneurs or the purveyors of culture? Just saying, hey, this is what, like one of the things I told some of you in the past is back when my grandmother's alive, we didn't have turkey. We didn't have turkey for Thanksgiving, nor for Christmas. We didn't have a Christmas ham or something like that. We had tamales. And you think people, when they look at my skin, they're like, what are you talking? And my grandmother would make 12 dozen tamales by hand with a masa and all that sort of stuff. And so tamales were one of the best parts about Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's like that's a practice that came out of the families that they were connected to when they were small-time farmers, when my grandmother and my grandfather were small-time farmers. I kind of really miss those traditions, but since she's no longer here, I got to replace them with some. I'm going to be working on that. I'm just wondering, anyone else have like examples of that? Yeah, I don't know. No one else cares about tamales. Melvin Hall, what do y'all do in North Texas? Tell us that.
Hey, Kevin, thanks. And I've been to your grandparents' farm. It's not a small-time farmers, okay? And so North Texas, keep it up with folks. I love what Denise shared, and me personally, it's sound, and so the smells bring her back. But I was in the car recently, and a song came on that brought me back to a place and a time, and that led me to calling a person that was in that time frame with me, and it blew my mind that the great things that came about from that quick trip down memory lane in my mind, and then catching up with that guy, and it didn't just stop with them. That led to bigger connections and things that I've been missing out on. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah,
Kevin.
no, you did. Well, tell us who's to your right, by the way. I see someone
Oh.
sneaking in there.
Granddaughter.
Yeah. Hi.
Braylee's in.
What's your name?
Braylee.
Braylee.
I'm
Hi,
on a
Braylee.
headset, so she can't hear
Oh,
you.
she can't hear you. Okay, got it. Well, tell her thank you for joining us today.
She said,
And
"Thanks for
Merry
joining."
Christmas to y'all. Yeah, no, that's cool to see family together. I'm glad to hear. Yeah, well, Melvin, that's totally it. Like you're already saying, it's just like being connected to people, and obviously you've got your family around. Cool. Thank you for that. Richard just shared again, I've been sharing videos on how to play dances from Nutcracker Ballet on piano. You have to share some of those. That's perfect. Jello, what about you? In the man behind the curtain that actually pushes all the buttons to pull the show together and stuff like that. What are you doing in the Philippines? Well, how like what whether it's the solstice or Christmas or holidays, what's your practice?
Yep. Yeah, just probably sharing from the other side of the world. So just a little bit of context. Christmas is very much big here in the Philippines. Like we actually start putting out decorations on September. That's how big it is. So Filipinos really, really, really love Christmas. I think it's one, it has almost become one redeeming day of the whole year
Mm.
where people really look forward to it and just makes sense of the whole year. And aside from that, because Philips are really family people, especially from the 2 years COVID, everybody's out right now doing everything they can because it's more free and people can come out and just celebrate. So Manila has the worst traffic in the world. That's just what I'm sharing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I know I'm traveling right now. It's supposed to be the second hardest time of the year, and Texas is just about to get a freeze. And so everything's going to go to whack out here in Austin, and then same thing about air travel is going to be messy. But yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Jello. Thank you for driving the program. Well, so what's happening right now is I have to go make it to gate 8. I'm at the Delta Club right this second. I have to go scramble over to gate 8. I'm not sure how much longer you guys are going to get a chance to talk, but I asked Denise to be our co-host today. And I'm going to hand it back over to her. And I'd just love to hear how you guys, let me put it in your fully capable hands to just explore other parts, other elements. I know that there's a couple different things. Like we have a couple other people who just said, RD just said our kid was recovering from elective knee surgery and has cabin fever. So they played Clue and Uno for this afternoon. Richard Hurley is sharing the dance of the sugar plum flurry. So I'm going to click on that. And then as I close up my laptop, Denise, thank you for being co-host in crime on the program. Yeah, we'd love to hear more about what you end up doing with your program and your kids and your grandkids, but also the kids that you're working with and stuff like that. And I'm going to leave it in your hands for the rest of the program, and I'll see you this next Thursday.
Okay.
So
travel safely. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to all of y'all. And I tell you what, if anyone needs anything from me, just hit me up. Other than that, I'm probably going to do my best to just turn everything off for the next few days. So if I disappear, I'm coming back.
To say,
Okay.
it's called modeling. What we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what's the joke? I'm not only the hair club for men's CEO. I'm also its first customer. Yeah, same thing about this. I am going to do my best. The things that I preach about are typically the things that I'm working the hardest on. I know earlier today, someone, actually Melvin, I think, said in the chat, extreme self-care. Is that new? Yeah. No, It's been something I've tried hard for about 15 years, but I'm going to go practice it right now. Okay. Love you guys all. Y'all take care.
Okay. All right.
See you soon.
Take care. Bye. Cut him off, Jello. Okay. Jello, I can't see the comments. So would you maybe look at those and like if Richard Hurley can get on, that would be great. Or anybody else. I would like to hear about thoughts you have if you would have a gift of time, if you would be trying to start something like that or do that or promise to do that this time. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Anybody?
Yeah, I think Richard is out, but
Okay.
as somebody else are still preparing, I can share a little bit.
Okay, good.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I think for me, just realizing, especially when we all age, that our parents are really, really important. I think that's my greatest lessons here. Um, so if I the gift of time, actually, I was inspired by what you shared a while. It's not really so much about what you give your family or the things. Eventually, it will all surface that the time you give them will make much more importance the long run. So that's specifically and intentionally what I'm trying to do this Christmas. So for the first time, I'm bringing I actually paid for my parents' travel. It's their first time actually leave this. It's their first time riding a plane. So it's that special.
Okay.
And I just really wanted to give them time, especially they're both working hard for years. So I think for me, that's the gift of time.
Absolutely. That's so awesome. So they're coming to visit you.
Yep, I'm bringing them with me,
Oh,
and
you're
I'm also
bringing them
giving
with
them
you.
time off.
Okay.
Yep, and then I'm also giving them time off away. So just two of
Okay.
them.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Anybody else? Let me, Melvin. Yeah, Janet. Can you join via audio?
Yes, I think I have audio now.
Okay, yeah,
And,
perfect.
yeah,
Okay,
finally.
good.
So yeah, I can't,
Yay.
my desktop
Yay.
computer is so old, I can't Zoom on it anymore, but I can still design a book on it.
There you go.
Um, quiet, very quiet Christmas for me because of the weather. You know, me and all my family and friends are just staying home.
Mhm.
In the past, my absolutely favorite Christmases were when my mom and my brother and I could go see my grandparents in Waco because they had a big house full of family and warmth and love and great food and fantastic memories from my grandparents' house from every visit, especially Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. With your art background and stuff, what kinds of things are you thinking now if everybody's staying home? What kinds of things could we as entrepreneurs do that involves all the senses? You know, the touch, the smell, the taste, what kinds of things can you think of that we could do?
Well, let's see. Not a great time for a walk outside, but a walk in nature is a fantastic way to activate your senses, in my opinion. And even sitting quietly in nature, you will hear all kinds of interesting sounds that we normally tune out. So if it's too cold to take much of a walk, just maybe sit in your backyard or front yard for a little bit and just listen to what's going on. And while you're out there, maybe put some water and food out for the birds and the animals because they're going to really need it.
Great idea. What just brought to mind that you were just talking about was Stephen Galbraith and his group have that app that is all the standards for each state, like the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. They're out of Florida. To me, that app actually fits with what you just talked about, because if you're doing something that and modeling it as an entrepreneur, there's a way to connect that to whatever kids are learning in school. There's a way to look at, find the standard and do that. You know, that just all the cool stuff that the entrepreneurs are doing are, you know, the shift that's going on. We can connect that with the actual standards if we know what everybody's doing. So what I'm thinking about, as you said that, everybody, Melvin just put the connection thing for the tech ranch, which is a great idea. But think about how you can share it in such a way that we can, the ones that are, you know, entrenched in the education of the 19th century, that we can understand what you're doing so that we can make that connection. Because I think that's where education right now is really missing, that they're missing the relationship piece. I mean, COVID just blew that out of the water, but we were headed down that direction anyway with the factory model. And entrepreneurs have broken those chains, and they really are the purveyors of the culture. How are we going to do it? How are we going to do the relationship piece
Denise,
with the technology? Yes,
can
Paulina.
I jump in? So my grandmother is a teacher, and then I have my sister-in-law who's a teacher as well. Former teacher. She's doing a couple different things now.
Right.
But it's exactly what my grandmother was saying, is that, you know, she teaches Russian grammar and literature. And so she has had to have a little bit of a different connection with the kids. And instead of being able to actively sit in person and correct them into the pronunciation, the interaction, the different, you know, smiling, laughing, all of that, it all has to now be virtual. And so I definitely agree, just not just with our family's background, but overall from what I've seen in my experience, it is such a different major component for your interaction with other students. The discussions I've had in class that even deviate off topic, but are still having that storyline of people's experiences being shared in class. It is totally different whenever you're on Zoom and people can just, you know, shut off and be like, well, I have the ability to just not feel pressure, so I don't want to share this anymore. I'm not going to share this. I can do other things. And so I don't really have an answer to that. I just know that the actual stories and personal struggles that I've heard from my grandmother outline of just how difficult things have become. She's adjusted, and, you know, she's kind of created her own vibe / the way that she approaches of how to get the kids to quiet down and pay attention, or calling on them specific pattern levels so that they're paying attention more so. But I don't think there's a really set answer. I do find that I'm looking for also to finish my MBA and doing an online program only, but that's different for adults versus kids. Kids actively need that interaction on a major scale. So I personally don't have an actual answer to that, but I wanted to share because I understand it of just how crucial all of that is.
Oh, thank you. And I think you can't overstate how crucial it is. And I really do believe that we entrepreneurs are the ones that can figure out how to do that, because a computer can't give you a hug. And it is absolutely critical when you're talking about, we as adults can do the online and bridge the old way to the new way. You think about, I have grandchildren. The oldest is 8. The next one is 6. The next one is 5. The next one is 2. And I have another one on the way. They don't know a world without being able to swipe and without being able to use their mom's code and get into whatever game they want to get into on the internet. They don't know what it's like to bridge that, because they were born in the Jetson world. You know, they don't even know who the Jetsons are. It's just, so I agree, Paulina. I don't have the answers. I know I'm asking the questions, and I think we are in the space that we the products or the process or whatever we are doing as entrepreneurs right now, if we can figure out how to deepen the relationships, how to give others the gift of time using technology, I think we will have something that is very, very powerful and probably commercially very, very profitable. Other thoughts? Jello, you're going to have to help me because I can't see. Thanks, Paulina, too. That's awesome.
You're very welcome. There's just so many different things. Sometimes I stay quiet, sometimes I don't. So the examples I hope give good insight.
Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah, I think for in Zoom, all the comments have been read already.
Okay.
So if anybody here in the studio audience, maybe Melvin, want to say something about that?
I just love the interaction. I appreciate y'all including me in this, and I'm in awe. RD, you need to give us some insight from Austin.
Melvin, did you throw me under the bus?
Yes,
Hey,
you did.
I was getting myself off of the hot seat, man.
I see. So a lesson, young people, is delegation, right? So Melvin here has demonstrated delegation. So don't put it all on your shoulders, right? You know, you want to help others and rescue the world, but there's power in delegation. As you can see, Melvin clearly demonstrated delegation.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
As you see what Kevin does with Jello.
Perfect. Yes. Yes.
As big a bite as Kevin would like to take, is more than will fit on his plate.
Yep.
And so during this time, I will suggest that you learn about self-care and you learn about mental health, but also self-worth, right? Often the people that have the strongest ethics are trying to really hard to make things fair in the world. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. And it's quite a thing for me, quite frankly, to look back and have people go, oh, you know, would you treat somebody else this way, right? And even though I take things on myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd never treat somebody else that way, right? But the adage that you have with when you hop on that airplane, Jello, you'll hear that for the first time, put on your oxygen mask first, right? So, and we've all heard that many times. Jello's parents haven't, but they'll hear it for sure. And it really rings true, you know, and that's something that's, you know, that I've learned over time. Back to you, Denise.
Thank you. Well, let me ask you, so is it your child that is recovering from knee surgery?
Yes.
Okay, so that will alter your celebrations. How?
We spend more time together because they're trapped. They're, you know, not able to get out and leave the house and go hang out with their friends. So.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I kind of like that kind of planned obsolescence there. You just or planned quarantining that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what games do you and your family play then when you're isolated?
Recently we played Clue and Uno. That was the topic du jour. We have outlawed Scrabble in our house.
Ah.
And
because why?
Because I have a vocabulary, but I was raised redneck and I can't spell.
Okay.
So I play at about an 8th grader, 6th grader level, but which is sad because I have a better vocabulary than my wife, but she cleans my clock to the point that it's just like, yeah. You know, you would normally dial it down if you're playing with a little kid. No, my wife does not dial it down because
Nope, nope. Yeah. Well, maybe
but at
you
some
want
point it's like, is this really any fun for you? Because
that.
this is
maybe
nowhere close.
love it. Maybe you should invent Team Scrabble.
Oh, well, and the other one, I don't play Chutes and Ladders with my little kid. Well, they're 18 now, but it there's no strategy whatsoever. You spin the little clock, and I got my clock cleaned. You spin the little wheel, the little spin wheel.
Yep.
Spin that repeatedly. But I got my clock cleaned many times. I think I played that, 100 times and won once or something,
Mhm. So what you're really saying is you're just tired of losing.
It's supposed to be a random spin of the wheel. How can I lose that consistently? I'm looking for hidden cameras at this point.
Statistics.
There you go. You can teach probability.
You can't teach probability off of a spinny wheel thing that goes round and round and you lose over and over and over. That defies common statistics. You can't teach statistics off something that crazy.
Yeah. Agreed. So what is the patient going to get to eat then while he's confined?
They eat pretty much anything that they're willing to. They got to take meds all the time, so we're rather accommodating at this point.
Yeah. Oh, give and take, huh? It's a
Coca-Cola roast is one of those things.
Coca-Cola roast.
Yes, Coca-Cola roast.
Okay.
It's
So
basically like a regular roast, but with a can of Coke in it, and it makes it sweet and it's like barbecue almost.
Mm-mm.
But I like the barbecue with potatoes and carrots in it.
So
It's kind
are
of
you
like
going
a
to
brisket.
post that recipe then?
No, I don't know if I can. I don't know how you post it. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, I'm just copying your lesson of delegation. So I'm delegating that to you.
Well, then throw Janet under the bus. She's sitting there quietly.
Okay, Janet, put another comment in there and then I'll do the closeout and wish everybody Merry Christmas.
Okay, so are you looking for something specific or something general?
I don't know, RD's the one that tossed you under the bus, so what do you got?
Sorry.
Specific.
Just specific, goodness. Well, I'm having a lot of challenges with my stepmom right now because she has dementia. Yeah. And that's bringing into my life some unexpected challenges, but it's a learning curve. And I know at some point we're going to talk on this platform about elder care issues.
Mhm.
So boy, am I learning a lot of stuff. It's the holidays, so I will do everything I can just to put as much of that aside for the moment and do what I can for her. But
Yeah.
it's a challenge. My goodness, I've never had to do this before. With all the elders in my life, I've been lucky so far, but to have someone who is going through this is a whole new world for me, but hey, that's life, right?
Well, and I think you've hit it. I mean, talk about time and gift of time.
Yeah.
But the time, how you spend the time is
Yeah.
really different. And, people think that it's like, dealing with a 2-year-old. You can even reason with the 2-year-old. You cannot reason with someone that has dementia. And it is a whole new
Yeah,
It's
she
very difficult. Yeah.
going that path. She has days when she's better and days when she's worse. So you just don't know what to expect with her.
Mhm.
And she does very unpredictable things. She has paranoia and hallucinations at times, and other times she seems kind of on the ball.
Yeah.
But she's actually causing some complications for me. So I was like, oh,
I'll
girl.
bet. I'll bet. Yeah.
It's one thing to just, do what I can to take care of her, but to see the ripple effect of her behavior, because not everyone around her at the assisted living place understands what's going on with her. So I'm having to manage that too. Yeehaw.
Yeah. Could I make a request of you?
Please.
Would you be willing to keep a journal on, basically daily on your interactions with your stepmom? And
yes, I do. I could probably take better notes, and that would be helpful in a lot of ways in terms of her behavior in our interaction and what's going on. So yeah, that's
if you
a good idea.
if you would do that, then we'll talk about maybe some of the things that you're learning about all of that, and that would maybe be helpful to all the rest of us. So
Right. Yeah. As in all things human, community and networking and resourcing information is absolutely fantastic. So
yeah. And Melvin just posted audio notes.
Well,
So yeah,
I haven't been in the habit of doing audio notes. That's certainly one way a lot of people like to do notes. I'll think about that. I'm a little bit more of a writer myself. So
yeah.
we'll
I am too. Yeah.
Thanks, Melvin.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. If you're driving and can't stop and write or whatever, that's a really good suggestion. I'm like you. I like to write, and I find it cathartic too. Not just to write my thoughts down. So if you'd be willing to keep that journal, that would be fabulous. And so thanks everybody, RD and Paulina and Richard Hurley and Jello and Melvin and Kevin, who's not here. Thank you for everything. Jello, do you want to do the connect slide, and then we'll do the goodbye slide? And of course, there's how you connect. And as Kevin said, make sure that we're in that community that's going to be much more live, I guess, after the first of the year. So yeah, so that'll be fabulous. Have a wonderful holiday season, all of you. I'll see you next Thursday, I assume. And let's go change the world for the better together. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Okay, thanks. Great seeing everybody.
everyone.
Okay, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Mhm.